A very wild couple of weeks here in the NBA. A lot of stuff for us to tackle here. I just jotted down some of the questions that I think we on the Drive and Dish NBA podcast will try to answer. If you're Toronto, depending on how long this delay with Kawhi, if it is fully delayed or revoked or anything, like when do you potentially walk away from this? Philly might be one of the favorites to land LeBron. Boston, helping with that, obviously. The Cavs, where do they stand in their potential to compete with the Sixers? Obviously, there's one very big name player that those two teams are very much tied to right now. So we'll talk about that. We already kind of talked on Giannis, but obviously the Heat will come up in all of this conversation as well. On top of hitting some Ballin and Fallin like we always do with the Drive and Dish NBA podcast. So let's kick it off with the Kawhi trade, because really, honestly, I thought, like, I knew the conversation of this investigation was still a thing, but I kind of just thought it was going to like quietly go away, and especially with Kawhi going to the Raptors from the potential trade that was going on. Like, I just thought this would kind of go away and people would just stop talking about it. Clearly it hasn't. The trade's been revoked or paused or however you want to call it. The league has to finish this review. How long that takes, who knows? For anybody wondering, that means the Raptors had agreed to send Ingram, Grady Dick, and 2 first-round draft picks plus 2 second-round picks and some pick swaps to the Clippers for Kawhi to come back. So, like, all these players involved are probably hella frustrated, not really knowing where they're going or not going. But here we are. So the NBA is still investigating the close to $48 million off the books compensation that might have been going from Steve Ballmer to Kawhi. Yeah, man, it's kind of crazy. And to that, on the Kawhi side of things, I know we talk about his playing ability. I think he's 31 now. I could have that wrong, but
no, he's 35 now, bro.
35. He's old. Oh God, I gave him a few years back. Yeah, 35. So he's getting up there, but his stats last year were good. Played a lot more games than we're used to him getting through in a season. But he was averaging, 27 points per game, 6-ish rebounds, 4 assists, 50% field goal percentage. So, the value of his playing ability is still there. I think, honestly, if you're the Raptors, though, now that all the other stuff has happened in the East, maybe you're like, okay, it might be okay if he doesn't come here.
Don't do that. I don't know about all that. No, this is a great. What my thought was when this Kawhi Leonard trade happened, that Kawhi Leonard never should have left Toronto.
Well,
that was my initial thought. And I think there are a lot of people who have kind of thought that for a while. But like, Kawhi's Clippers tenure, it's just such a dud. And he had moments of brilliance, and especially this season. Like you said, this past season is the best he's played in quite a bit.
Yeah, in a while.
But at the same time, like, you look at everything that happened there between now the fact that you've got this investigation where the Clippers may still be punished. You gave up a 2-time MVP and a bunch of draft picks and basically gutted to land Kawhi and Paul George, which again is not the wrong swing at the time. Like, you can go back and listen to our pods from 5, 6, 7 years ago when that happened. Like, clearly you make the trade for Kawhi Leonard after he goes off the championship. And I think that trade for Paul George is a little more defendable when you look at them as a package together like that. But given how it's turned out, like, what a just disaster all around. I mean, this is just so disappointing the way all this played out. They never really got anything close to winning during his time with the Clippers. Though it is, kind of interesting that, I mean, when the Clippers announced that they were getting ready to move on, which, by the way, I don't think is the wrong move for the Clippers. Like, I think the team has clearly reset a lot of their roster from last year. Obviously moved on from Harden, moved on from a lot of other older guys that were on that roster and had given them good minutes over the last few years. Of course, Paul George left a few years ago. You get back, they were resetting, even like it feels like they're doing a hard reset at this point. You get the number 5 pick this year. That helps kind of speed that up a little bit. Garland fits more of a different timeline after they made the trade for him this past season with Cleveland. So moving on from Kawhi is not necessarily the wrong idea. Like, I actually think that's a good decision for them to start to recoup here a little bit. And for Toronto, a team that, kind of overachieved a little bit last year, You put Kawhi with Scotty Barnes, and all of a sudden, like I am a little more intrigued by that roster in the Eastern Conference. There's still some depth there. I don't think
Yeah.
giving up Ingram was the end of the world. So I think you can really like, I'm much more intrigued by Toronto in the East. Put it this way, like I think they're right there now, even with the other moves that have happened, and with the other moves that still may happen with Cleveland and Philly and LeBron, and depending where he ends up in Miami too. But at the same time, yeah, just like what a weird. Yeah, now I know you are in this pattern of weirdness right now because there is no timeline on this investigation. I don't think the Raptors should necessarily be in a rush to move away from this trade. Like, I still think bringing Kawhi back in a place where he's clearly comfortable. I mean, he indicated that Toronto and San Antonio, ironically, were the only places where he'd even consider, signing an extension at this point and basically not making this a 1-year rental again. So, I still think this trade will get done, but yeah, I mean, the investigation, I mean, we talked about it a bunch initially when it happened, but there's some big time ramifications if, depending on what type of punishment is given to the Clippers, if they're found guilty, if Kawhi's contract is voided in general, like there's a lot of moving pieces there. And so, I'm more surprised that it took about a week or so to void this trade. I mean, this has now been, this has happened a little bit ago now.
Yeah.
But
I guess
it's still probably best for both parties involved, I think.
I think if you're the Raptors, you do one out of this now, from the sole fact of the level of what we will most likely see in the East Coast now feels like it's gotten to a point where the door wouldn't be open for them with Kawhi there.
Oh, so you're gonna run? You can't run from the smoke, though. You're gonna run from the fight.
Get out, get out of it. Keep your what is it? Keep your picks, keep your swaps, keep your young guys.
Are you that you just won a title with Kawhi? Now, granted, it was back in 2019,
right.
so it's
and
been a little bit
ago.
Changed.
Yeah,
a lot different of a roster, but like I don't look at the East and I go, listen. I know the Knicks are there, and the Knicks have done a good job of kind of refilling their depth. Andre Drummond was a really good pickup for them as well, I hate to say. But other teams like that, I mean, I don't think any of those other teams that we're talking about are given at this point. Like, I think they all have question marks.
I say, so you look at Knicks, they'll be back in it, right? You look at Celtics. I know we are going to absolutely torch the Paul George thing, but they're definitely going to be back in it.
Sure, I don't think they're falling out of the playoffs or anything like that.
Right. Pistons will probably be close to a 60-win team again. Now, playoff experience.
Huge question mark with Durant, though.
I know, but I think they'll be there. Then you have, and that's just Cavs. I will be right back in it. And I know there's a question mark with LeBron on that. So, like, those are the top 4 teams right now from last year, right? In theory, I don't see an argument for the Raptors to be better than those 4, especially if LeBron goes to the Cavs.
I agree with if Cavs get LeBron, I agree. I think the Cavs are definitively better, but.
And so you have those 4 right now. Say LeBron doesn't go to the Cavs. I still think Raptors and Cavs will be close, but say LeBron goes to the Sixers. Well, now the Sixers are probably in the top 3 in the East. They might already be there, and we'll have that conversation in a little bit. So if you're the Raptors, like, cool, that's going to push you to about 6th. The Heat, we'll see what's going on. I mean, obviously, Giannis there's going to increase the playing, but I still feel like they're a year or 2 away from like fully hitting what could be an issue with them. So I won't count them yet. Magic should be right back in it too. And again, Magic were only 1 win less than the Raptors. So like, yes, adding Kawhi puts you back in that, but I don't think it makes you a top 5 favorite in the East once we know LeBron's coming.
I mean, I might disagree with that, honestly.
Okay.
Like, I'm looking around. The East is definitely going to be better. Like, I think everything is true about all the teams you just named, I don't disagree with.
Yeah.
I also think, other than maybe the Knicks, I think every one of those teams you just named has a major question mark that I could see them prevent them. I mean, Celtics, we don't know what they're going to look like post Jaylen Brown trade. And at the end of the day, like, Jason Tatum is still coming off Achilles surgery. We need to see Jason Tatum play a full season. That matters a ton. The Pistons have the Durant situation to figure out. Like, they just, at the end of the day, we don't know what's happening there. And if he's not back, I
Yep.
do think, despite his playoff struggles, he's a big reason they were that one
Of
seed in the
course.
Eastern Conference. And if he's not there, that does kind of shake things up a little bit. With
Is it?
Philly, yeah, we got to see how this fit is going to be. Like Embiid might get hurt for the zillionth time, so there's always they have a massive question mark no matter what.
I agree.
Miami Heat, I got to see how Giannis and Bam space. I also got to see what they do with the depth part. Indy again, are they going to catch fire? Hallie's going to take some
Yeah.
time to adjust. Like I think Indy's certainly going to be back in the mix, but I think that's a valid question of how long that's going to take.
I think there's a genuine chance that the Pacers have a better record than the Raptors next year.
I mean,
If the Pacers were legit the year they made the finals run, and we
yeah,
think they are. I mean, obviously
absolutely.
injury really derailed that. So like I think there's a real chance they could be close to a 50-win team. And those wins got to come from somebody, you know what I mean? And like if I'm putting my money on a team in the top 5 from last year to lose some of their wins so that the Pacers have them, you know what I mean? Like I think some of that comes from the Raptors and maybe the Hawks too, but we could talk about the Hawks, but like I feel safer saying that over Cavs who might get LeBron, Knicks who are going to be just looking to repeat, Celtics who everyone's bashing on them but still has a phenomenal roster, and the Pistons who were a 60-win team last year. Like I think the safer bet is Raptors, Hawks, maybe even Magic and Hornets because Hornets made a lot of changes too. So like those are the safer teams to pick on instead when you're trying to like jumble up the wins to get the Pacers back to a 5 seed or something.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the 10 teams who made it last year, right, I think the losses most likely, if they're going to come from somewhere, are going to come from Charlotte. Though, again, I still think Charlotte post LaMelo Ball is not in a bad position. They may not be quite as good as last year, but I don't think they're going to fall off a cliff either at all. I still think Atlanta's really good. I think Atlanta is going to be competitive all year. I think they were onto something post Trae Young trade last year. And the thing is, too, is beyond Indy, like I think just Washington. Washington is going to win more games this year. They'll be more competitive. I don't know if they're going to be a threat to win the Eastern Conference necessarily, but they're not going to be a 17-win team like they were last year.
I'll tell you what. There is going to be at least 2 teams in the East next year that are not going to make the playoffs, and it's like I can almost guarantee it's going to be insanely close, and maybe even not even the play-in tournament at this rate. And the expectations were like a decent playoff run for whatever team doesn't get in. Like again, Pacers, we imagine to be significantly better from injury. They'd pop up closer to that. Wizards, with the roster that they have on paper, should be probably doing that too. And you've got Heat, Hornets, Magic, Bucks will probably drop, right? So like
the Bucks and the Nets are the only 2 teams in the East I look at and go, they're going to stink out loud and truly be terrible.
Bulls
aren't going to stink. I think the Bulls are going to be fine. Like they made enough moves. They're not going to make the playoffs or anything. I still think they're one of the worst teams in the Eastern Conference, but like I don't think they're going to be a potential like 19 or 7. Like last year, the 2 bottom teams in the East were Washington at 17 wins and Indy at 19. The 2 teams most likely to be in those spots this year are Brooklyn and Milwaukee to me.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that. Like I can get behind that as well. So I just like it's going to be like thinking about it now, man, the playoff run that we're going to experience next year, as long as injuries don't fully mess it up, like dude, it's going to be insane. Because
East is good, dude.
Yeah, you're going to have a lot of teams that think they're closer to a 50-win season than they are to a maybe play-in tournament season. Like, I think if you're looking at it objectively from teams that feel like they got better and think they should be closer to a 50-win is probably, I mean, Pistons, they got 60, Celtics, they got 56, and Knicks got 53, but the Cavs gave 52. So that's 4 right there who expect to be at probably over a 50-win season. I think then you have Sixers who retooled. You have Hawks who, again, halfway through the season, found something. You have the Raptors, to your point, who think they should be in the running and be there. And then you have the Magic who I would imagine they think they can get 5 more wins in a season. So that's like, you know what I mean? That's 8, almost 9 teams in the East that I think objectively from a fan base standpoint you could make an argument for a 50-win season. And that's not including Pacers, Wizards, who I know are significantly down, but that number is going to be swayed because they were down because of the injury stuff and just not trying.
Yeah, no, 100% there. Just not trying is a good way to put it. I mean, the downside for Toronto, just and with final thoughts on the trade is like, look, those first round picks are unprotected. You know, Kawhi is older. Like, there's a chance the Raptors, when those picks go or and end up coming around, like, may not be that great. But
Well,
I
and I
think
wonder
given what
if
Kawhi has last year, and given the fact that again that we're in a league of parity right now, like you get hot at the right time, the way the league has been going, like there is a window to get there, I guess, for Toronto, and it's a lot higher than whatever you had going before. Like Toronto had kind of maxed out their ceiling, I feel like last year. There wasn't really much further to go without making a swing like this. And look, there is risk on it. Kawhi obviously has a ton of tread on his tires. You know, you talk about injuries. There's been injuries galore there, but he's still really good when he plays, as he showed last year. So I like it. I like them shaking it up and doing something different more than anything.
Yeah, I get your point. I wonder if those picks would be part of like the picks that the Raptors sent over. What if those picks are the ones that are in this? You know what I mean? If they find or whatever ends up happening, but it's like, yeah, there's so many question marks with how the NBA is going to come down on the parties involved. You know,
No,
If Kawhi gets suspended, if the Clippers lose picks, like I think obviously that's why they paused it, because they need to like fully figure out what's going on, and if it actually is found to be true, then you got to figure out how the punishment's going to work. And it sucks because, in a way, because of this, there's a chance that the Raptors are going to get a little bit punished because they're not going to be able to go get Kawhi. So, like, I mean, that sucks for Raptors and the Raptors fan. But again, I think, you know, the worst case is that doesn't happen, and you can kind of just focus on your young core again and you know, building those guys up and getting them confident, and maybe finding a different suitor for Brandon Ingram if you're ready to move on from him.
Yeah, no, 100%. I am going to pivot quick on you, and I apologize because we didn't talk about this pregame, but I do want to sneak it in here. And I think it's fitting more in the intro when we're talking about less LeBron stuff and less all the impacts from that world. But I do want to mention the Ja Morant trade too, with Ja Morant going to Portland. I again, with given the sheer shock of the Jaylen Brown move, I think that kind of took away a little bit and took a, because I mean, last podcast we were talking about the Blazers being a kind of a perfect fit for Jaylen Brown, having the resources to do it. Instead, kind of a little bit of a surprise here, going for Ja Morant, and taking a swing there. I mean, certainly Ja Morant, the value was lower, and so you're moving on. You know, his tumultuous time in Memphis comes to an end. You know, I think for Memphis, the writing's been on the wall there for a little bit, especially with Desmond Bane getting moved, with Jaren Jackson getting moved last year. You know, it certainly feels like they want to reset around Cameron Boozer, who they just took in the draft, and it's hard to kind of fault them for that. But from a Portland perspective, I got to be honest, I don't get this at all for Portland. I really, and taking a swing on Ja Morant is fine. And because the value is so low, like I am always going to understand that given how good he was a few years ago.
Yep.
But the Blazers have so many guards already. Like, why are you taking a swing? You already have Dame Lillard, you know, Scoot Henderson, Drew Holiday. And even like he's not a guard, but like Denny Abda, who's their big breakout star last year, is a guy who kind of needs the ball in his hands. So you're going to add Ja Morant into the mix? Like, I don't get it at all for Portland.
When the value was that low, I guess you got to shoot your shot. You know what I mean? Like looking at that Ja Morant for Grant and Murray essentially is like, dude, that's how low the value got on Ja. Like, dang, dude, there was a chance he was like going to be the face of the league at one point, you know? So,
yeah.
I guess the only argument, I get it from a fit perspective, it's not there, but that's always kind of been like the feel with Portland for whatever reason. Like that's kind of their MO, is they just get players that were always like, what are they doing? But I think when you have a chance to get a name like Ja Morant, have him come somewhere where maybe he can kind of rehab his career and his name, and go back and average, you know, 22 points per game and all that, and 8 assists and all that stuff. It's at least worth a flyer, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, look, because it is essentially a flyer. Like, you gave up Jeremy Grant, you gave up Chris Murray. You truly, like, it's not a lot of value there. Again, Ja is 26 years old. It doesn't really mess with their cap at all. But beyond the off the court stuff, the biggest issue with Ja Morant is just that Ja Morant's been hurt a lot.
Yep.
And Ja Morant is a guy who is really based on his game is based on athleticism. He's so fast, he flies to the rim. Those injuries add up and he just can't really shoot the ball. And that kind of worries me long term. It's like, again, you talk about the tread on the tires, like it's certainly there. I mean, his stats have been down. I mean, granted, only 20 appearances in 2025 and 2026, but like just again, down from the previous year. He's a career 31% shooter from 3%. The other reality too is that, you look at what the Blazers did last year. A lot of them, their second half surge and what got them into the playoffs and, really, had them out of the play in, and what made them kind of a breakout story last year was their defense. They were such a good defensive team in the back half of the year. And, I granted, I will say they brought back Rob Williams on a 3-year deal, who was a huge part of that. And so I think that that's a good move for them. But like, Ja Morant's never exactly been known as a great defender either. And so it feels like you're kind of giving up something on that end that made you really good. I don't know. It's just a weird fit, man. There's no other way to describe it. I just feel like this is such a weird fit for Portland.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you on that. That it is a weird fit, but I just go back to what you had to give up to get him. It's at least worth a try,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, well, and that's the positive side. The positive side is that you're absolutely taking a flyer here. And if it works out, you got him for nothing. Like, there is something to be said about a former all-star at 26 years old being available. But to the other coin, like, their side of the coin, what does that mean when a 26-year-old former all-star is available? Like, Memphis it felt downright giddy to move on from Ja Morant. And especially when you look at the value for them, what they got back. I mean,
less giddy than the Celtics felt moving away from Brown, but
well, yeah, I mean, we'll get into that in a sec because we haven't even got to the surprise there. But either way, definitely a kind of a surprise there. I'm interested to see how, and I hope that doesn't backfire for Portland, but I don't know how much I feel about that right now. Welcome everybody to the Drive and Dish NBA podcast. My name is Kevin Rafuse. Joining me as always, my co-host Justin Cousart.
Can you guess the historically worst single season net rating for an NBA team?
Oh man. There's a couple teams that come to mind. The one is, God, I think it was 2011, 2012, but was it that Bobcats team?
Dude, that is tied for the record. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're,
all right.
they're negative 15.2 rating. Now, it's worth pointing out that was the lockout season, so it was a shorter season. Yeah.
They were on pace to break the futility record. The futility record is it's the Sixers. It was the Sixers in like, God, it was back in the 60s, wasn't it? But there was I think the Sixers were like 9-73. I'm pretty sure that's the worst all-time record.
Let's see.
Boston,
single record losses 72-73 Sixers, who finished 9-73. Yep.
Yeah, which is also crazy because that was 5 years post remove championship for the Sixers. Like the Sixers won the title with Wilt in 67. And then obviously horrible 9 wins there. That Charlotte team had a worse overall winning percentage than that Sixers team, but like you said, it was a lockout shortened season. They didn't play full. We'll never get to know if they crossed into full infamy or not.
They were 7-59. That net rating though was tied with the 92-93 Mavericks. Who also had a minus 15.2 net rating. They were 11-71 on the season. The next team right behind them was the Denver Nuggets 97-98 season, who also went 11-71, but they were only a negative 13.2 net rating.
Man, this roster is gross. I'm trying to even look at who's here. We got Derek Harper. Oh man, I mean, it's all rookies. It's all rookies and like young. Yeah, I mean, first year, second year players. I mean, like I said, Derek Harper was a 9-year vet that year. But beside, I think the next highest is Marlon Wiley, who was the fourth. He was in his 4th year. Randy White was in his 3rd. Terry Davis was in his 3rd. God, yeah. No, it's gross. I mean, Derek Harper, leading scorer for that team, 18.2 points. I mean, who else was given that? Jim Jackson only played in 28 games, but he was averaging 16 a game. Terry Davis averaging 12, Sean Rooks averaging 13. Oh, Tim Legler was on this team. Wow, dude. Tim Legler, that's so sick. Oh, I mean, not for him, probably. They were losing a lot that year, but yeah, dude, Timmy averaged almost 10 points a game that year.
Tim Legler. Oh my God.
That's
We
sick.
should
That's
see.
The
We got to
coolest
try
part about
to.
that team.
We got to try to remember Tim Legler and the teams he played for.
Over Grid,
For
absolutely.
just try to get him in Grid. Who was it? It was Mavs. I think he was. Who? The Suns got him. Drafted him.
No, he's got a bunch. Yeah, Phoenix actually. Phoenix is where he started. He played 11 games for Phoenix.
Yep.
He played 10 games for Denver in 90.
Okay.
Played overseas. Then he played for Utah and Dallas. Golden State for a year in 94, 95. And then he played he played 4 years with the Wizards, and then he went back to Golden State in 99 for one last year.
Dang. I don't know. We'll have to see what the Grid looks like to see if we got any connects.
Most games he ever played in a season were that Dallas 93-94. He played 79 games, and he played in 95-96. He played 77 games for at the time, not the Washington Wizards, the Washington Bullets.
Ah, there you go. The Bullets. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
Can't imagine why they changed that name.
Yeah.
Yeah, leave us a review on iTunes, good or bad. We'll read them on the podcast. If you're not an Apple user, Google Play Store, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Amazon Music, Player FM, anywhere you can find a podcast, you can find us.
And we're on YouTube, Drive-A-Dish NBA on YouTube. You can watch a video version of the podcast. Also, when we do the Immaculate Grid, you can watch there. Just subscribe, and you'll get notifications when new episodes are coming out, just like your regular podcast platform.
Now, a word from our sponsors.
So we come back into it with the Homer hats on a little bit for the LeBron watch. God knows, with our luck, he's going to make a decision like 5 minutes after we finish recording this. But here we are, essentially. LeBron has told the Lakers he's out. He's going to go somewhere else. Everyone immediately thought it was going to be the Warriors so that we could have a Steph LeBron kind of thing go on. But then the 76ers landed what was a phenomenal trade. At least I think we can agree on that, to get Jaylen Brown, which I feel like got us in the conversation, on top of the Cavs being a part of the conversation for a homecoming. And I think the same kind of sentiment for the Heat, which I would say are probably the top favorites right now. Those three, I feel like we hear a lot about. There's some other teams. I know we were talking off mic, Timberwolves and Denver and some other teams that at least make sense. And from the LeBron watch side of things, I think it just comes down to what does he want to do. I saw it might have been Windy. Somebody posted that wherever he goes, he wants to be celebrated and potentially win that fourth ring, which seems like a weird way to word it. The be celebrated feels like it's a Cavs thing, and then the win feels like it's a Sixers thing.
Well, it's also like you're LeBron James, dude. You're going to be celebrated everywhere you go. Like, what do you mean he wants to be celebrated? Every franchise in the league would be happy around LeBron.
I think it was said more from like if LeBron goes or went to the Warriors, I think they would celebrate it, but like from a star power potential, I think Steph would still be, you know what I mean?
It's Steph's team. The Warriors are Steph's team. They're always going to be Steph's team, full stop.
Right. So I think that's maybe what that comment was more or less about.
I think the Warriors thing went out the window too when the Wizards basically said, "Hey, we're not trading Anthony Davis." Like the whole thought was, "Oh, we're going to have Steph, Dre, LeBron, and AD play together." I think that's that would have been more appealing. But the Wizards flat out said, "We're not moving Anthony Davis at this point." So once you don't move AD, that kind of knocked the Warriors out of the picture. I mean, with Rich Paul, you had the whole. I mean, you went on the podcast with Steve Nash, and he had the whiteboard where he basically put up. The interesting point is that he said LeBron would have 100% been going to the Knicks if they didn't win the title last year. So that was kind of interesting to see the Knicks get, I feel like LeBron's always flirted with going to New York, but to have it said so explicitly, but obviously off the table now with them winning the title. I can understand that. I mean, the teams that were coming up on the whiteboard, who was it? It was Minnesota, it was Denver, it was Philly, it was, I know we mentioned Dallas like real briefly, but they were way off on the side. Of course, the Heat, of course, the Cavs. I think the Sixers who we said we mentioned, and then there was one other one I'm blanking on. It doesn't matter though. Regardless though, if you believe the reports that Shams said this is down to three teams, and that's Cleveland, that's the Sixers, and that's the Miami Heat, who we're all going to talk about to varying points. Of course, with both the Cavs and the Sixers, massive news with the Cavs extending Donovan Mitchell, and with the Sixers making the most stunning trade of my Sixers lifetime by moving for Jaylen Brown, and just the sheer shock of that, which we're still, I know you're, as many of you are probably waiting for us and itching for us to talk that. We'll get there in a second. I do want to focus back to the Lakers for a sec, who have, of course, pivoted fully into Luka Doncic mode as we expected. Like this was,
it already felt like they kind of were. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit of a weird breakup there. I don't know. I mean, before we get into what the Lakers have done, because I think what the Lakers has done, it's a bit interesting as well. Paid Austin Reeves a ton of money, took a huge swing for Walker Kessler, which was certainly a need, but it massively feels like they overpaid for Walker Kessler and are really banking on him breaking out, like a good player for sure. But I mean, yeah, it's I don't know about that one. The Lakers kind of looking questionable a little bit. I'm not going to lie. In the hindsight here, a lot of their cap is tied up now, which it just doesn't feel like that's going to get over the hump in the West. And
it gets a million times weirder for Walker Kessler when you look at the trade differences that the Sixers did to get Jaylen Brown. I think that's also working against them a little bit. Because, man, I mean, obviously, Jaylen Brown, talent-wise, at least in the NBA right now, is a lot higher, and that's no hate on Walker Kessler. That's just the facts right now.
No, it's the truth. They overpaid for a need. The Lakers needed a center to go around Luka, and they needed a good defensive center, but, they just gave up so much to get Walker Kessler. And, you put a lot of resources into Austin Reeves, a guy who's obviously played a lot of great minutes for them. That's not necessarily, the worst thing in the world, but the combination of moves is kind of where I'm looking at with the Lakers right now and going, I don't think that team's made the right moves, but what are you going to do? LeBron's Lakers legacy, though, I want to get back to that quick because, his exit is kind of symbolic of almost how I feel the whole tenure went. It was always because it felt like there was a segment of Lakers fans that never really accepted LeBron, and LeBron played now the largest, if we're talking seasons, the longest portion of his career in the Lakers uniform. And look, I think at the end of the day, no matter what, it's an objective success because they won a title. They won a title together, LeBron and Anthony Davis. You 2020, you bring the ring home at the time that had tied them for the most overall titles in the NBA. Boston, of course, has since jumped that again and won one more 2 years later, but regardless, I think you always will have that. Championships last forever. They won the NBA Cup too, but the other reality is hey, they did exit pretty early every single year here after that. They never really made a run. I mean, I don't even think they got back to the conference finals maybe once, but I think that was it. They never really threatened for a finals again, and it just, I don't know. It felt like those teams were always good, not great. It felt like they missed on kind of the complementary pieces over the few years. So, and then once the Luka trade got made, it was just kind of obvious that they were moving in a different direction, which I completely understand. Obviously, you got Luka Doncic gift wrap to you, but definitely a bit of a weird ending to LeBron's tenure there overall, which kind of had weird vibes the whole time. Not bad ones, but weird ones.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, setting a ton of records while on the Lakers, passing a lot of landmark moments while with the Lakers. The biggest
Kareem, man.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So, I think he also did it on he passed Magic on the assist list, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So yeah, I mean, I would say he should be, cherished as a Lakers legacy. Obviously got them at least that one ring, but the best player, one of the historically and maybe even the best player in the league, did 11 seasons on your team. That's huge,
Yeah, it's you got one of the right, like you said, one of the greatest players of all time played for you. I know the Lakers are a little spoiled to say the least in the
Right.
number of greats they've had there, but eight seasons on 11, by the way, for the Lakers. But yeah, either way, like right, you won a championship together. He's a part of your chapter. Like he may not have been a Lakers lifer the way that Magic Johnson was, or the way that Kobe Bryant was,
Right.
but
Right.
still, I mean, again, winning a title, objectively success. I think passing the scoring title there is huge. And now we'll see. I mean, like we said, the fact that LeBron's going to be 42 years old, still a top 20 player in the league, 20 points a game per season, like all the instincts are certainly still there. And now we wait whether he goes back to Miami, who of course he played 4 seasons with, whether he goes back to Cleveland and ends it on a homecoming, or whether he goes to the Sixers. Which I mean, we should pivot into the Sixers, who of course are only even in this conversation because of the stunning move to go out and get Jaylen Brown for the cost of Paul George, for the cost of 2 first-round picks. And I mean, Justin, there was no world when we recorded the last episode that I thought the Sixers were remotely even in play for Jaylen Brown. I mean, you talk
Right.
about just the fact of that, besides the fact these two teams are rivals, the fact that they've
Right.
just played each other in the season, like that Jaylen Brown has we knew the writing was on the wall with Jaylen Brown, and I think we'll talk second apron a little bit there, but I certainly think that sped up things a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But just stunning, no other way around it. I mean, Jaylen Brown,
Well,
the
yeah.
breakout star for the Celtics last year, a Finals MVP, a guy who's won a ton of games there, now suiting up for your rivals and slotting into a starting lineup with Tyrese Maxey, with VJ Edgecombe, with Joel Embiid, and potentially with LeBron James, depending on
That'd
how this
be
plays out.
wild.
I mean, oh yeah, there's you have to love this if you're a Sixers fan. And I think the only reason I'm not shouting from the rooftops more on this podcast is just because, like, buddy, I'm jaded. Like, I'm super jaded. And I also just, it goes back to the fact that, like, look, we traded for Markelle Fultz, who at the time was a consensus #1 pick. I watched Markelle completely bust, and I watched Jason Tatum become one of the best players in the NBA. So yes, I am still always going to be a little jaded when I
They
trade to
owe
Boston
us.
and go,
They owe us one.
what does Boston know that I don't know? On its face,
Yeah.
though, yeah, it looks like a fleecing. Like Paul George played better last year for sure. I'm not going to sit here and rewrite history. He was pretty good when he played compared to the first season they had in the Sixers uniform.
Yeah.
Paul George has also played 40 games in the last 2 seasons. Like there was a ton of injury risk there, a ton of, it's the phrase of the episode. There's a ton of tread on the tires. I will counter that by saying he played great defense on Jaylen Brown in the first round last year, and I think was a huge reason that they beat the Celtics and had that 3-1 comeback. Like to your point that we talked about earlier in the first part of the show, is that Boston's not going to fall off a cliff. Like Paul George should slot in and give them quality minutes. Their big situation too with Mitchell Robinson is, I think, a lot better defensively than it was last year. Like the combo of Mitch Robinson and Kata, I think, is really good. And I think that can be serviceable and hold up for a while. But yeah, I mean, the big story with Boston is going to be, what's Tatum's now off of full, I know he played at the end of last year, but like now with a full off season to truly recover from the Achilles injury, get back. What does he look like? Is he that dominant force he still was?
Yeah.
But no, it's the sheer shock and surprising and just jarringness of it. Like this has been one of him and Tatum and Jaylen Brown. You talk about weird vibes. It certainly has felt there the whole time, but they've been one of the most successful duos in the NBA with 2 finals runs, with a championship. The team has been consistently competitive the whole time. And so it was jarring to see the Sixers. I mean, Mike Gansey, welcome to the role, buddy. Like we talk about taking a swing in your first couple of weeks here, bringing in Jaylen Brown, that, again, they're going to have to pay him a lot of money. And I think that's the question here is, and for the sake of money purposes, his contract now, you get off Paul George's contract, but Jaylen Brown's is 2 years longer. So there is a little bit of that, but much younger, much less injury risk. I know there's some advanced stats worry that's a little bit of a buzz, but I think the swing is there. Like, especially after last year, I think you have to take this. I think it makes your timeline a lot more palatable in terms of fitting with Tyrese Maxey and fitting with VJ Edgecombe. I think it allows you to really, if we want to make the Celtics comparison, I feel like you need Embiid almost to slide into the role that Porzingis played a few years ago, where it's like you just need those moments of brilliance. You don't even need him to be that dominant force that he was a few years ago. You just need those games or two. And I mean, yeah, just the fact too that right, like this slides you in position now to make a serious run at LeBron James. I don't know that they're the favorite. I still think Cleveland is going to be the favorite to land LeBron. I think the homecoming appeal is always going to be there. And given the Cavs run to the conference finals last year, which we'll talk a little bit about in a second, you never want to rule that out. But yeah, I mean, if we're talking from a basketball standpoint, like you slide LeBron into that 4 and you look at that starting lineup, the only question mark is Embiid. That's always going to be the question mark. But I look and I go Maxey, Edgecombe, LeBron with Jaylen Brown and Joel Embiid with some of the depth signings too that they made that it actually feels like they're hitting on, right? Like Dean Wade, a real nice signing, bringing him over from Cleveland, bringing in Anthony Simons, a guy who, you talk about that spark off the bench. I think he can kind of give what Quentin Grimes was missing last year, frankly, in the playoffs. Like they needed that spark and Grimes wasn't it. And they traded Jared McCain. So like there went that spark. So like I like the Simons pickup a lot. If Philbon, who I think went well in the draft, that makes a little bit more sense now if he's coming off the bench and you can get some good minutes there. They need to figure out backup center as always. I like a Bona. I think they probably should get a little better. I mean, maybe I wouldn't mind taking the swing there, bringing him in on a 1-year vet deal, but
well, he is. Well, I was reading because I guess there's a situation where he wants to potentially go to Europe. Valanciunas does. But I guess he has a chance to get claimed off. He has to clear waivers to be able to do the Europe thing.
Right.
So I think there's a chance he could get claimed off waivers. And if so, he would be owed $10 million this season. So, once you start talking about money situations, that could get a little tighter. But I know a lot of Sixers fans that when they saw that Valanciunas might be available as a backup center, it was like, yo, let's go get this guy right now. So we'll see if that actually becomes a thing. It might actually come down to money, and that'll probably be part of our conversation a little bit later in general. But yeah, we'll see. I agree with you. I think from if you're giving an elevator pitch to LeBron, the Sixers check a ton of categories with the MVPs, Embiid, Brown scoring, Maxey, the kind of face of the team right now. And then you got Nick Nurse as the veteran coach. Like, yeah, you want to come join this team? Like, yeah, if Embiid goes down with injury, as long as there's a decent backup center, like I think the team can hold its own. You have, in this case, without LeBron, 2 to 3, maybe even 4 players on the team that are good go-to guys that can go get you buckets. You add LeBron to that, then you got another one. I do worry from I think all these guys think they're the number one. You know what I mean? Without LeBron there, I think they're the number one. I think if LeBron comes in, he's kind of the clear, like, I'm the vet, I'm the guy, you guys will be. Like, I think that actually would help the Sixers a lot. I think between Brown, Maxey, I know VJ is really new, but VJ, Embiid, they all, mindset-wise, think they're the face of the team. So, like, I think LeBron comes in and kind of makes that worry go away a lot.
It needs to be Maxey and JB, and I think that's one of the more things that they are going to have to figure out in the early goes, right? Like Jaylen Brown needs the ball in his hands a lot. Tyrese has had the ball in his hands a lot typically. I think they are going to have to find a balance there. I think they're going to have to learn how to stagger some of those lineups too, which I think they'll figure out. Like that's not something I'm super worried about. And honestly, Tyrese Maxey is probably the key if LeBron is going to go to Philly because Rich Paul loves Tyrese Maxey. I mean, that dude raves about Tyrese Maxey all the time, unprompted, like just straight up willingly comes out and says he's one of my favorite players in the league. Obviously, Rich carries a lot of juice in LeBron world, which is the understatement of the century. And I think if LeBron ends up deciding, hey, I'm coming to Philly, then it would be a large portion because of Tyrese Maxey. Like the Jaylen Brown trade mattered, but I think Maxey would be the guy that lands the plane for LeBron, if that makes sense. Besides that, though, it's the appeal is you're fighting with home.
But think about this: if you're LeBron going home and playing in Cleveland, cool. Like I get it, you get to do it again, maybe even win them a ring again before you tap out. But imagine going to Philly and winning a championship for the team that hasn't won in, I think next year will be 44 years, and that being the cap on your legacy. Like, even if it's just 1 year,
No, I'm with you. And because it's the same
Bro.
thought with Minnesota, right? If you go to
It's like,
Minnesota and you break
yeah.
their drought,
Look at how Philly embraced Saquon. You
yeah.
know what I mean? Like, that's, it would probably, I mean, football's big, like, I get
No,
it. Football's,
Philly loves LeBron James. LeBron James would be
yeah,
absolutely adored in Philadelphia. There'd be no doubt in my
that
mind
would
that he
be
would be beloved.
crazy. If he came over here to cap his career, win his last ring with Philly, close another drought
Oh,
of
and
44
you'd have
years,
four different teams that you've won titles with then. Like that's a
and
pretty big
two,
boost to legacy.
and two of those rings are ending significant droughts for those teams. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
dude, that's a legacy
It is. I mean, if he wins in
builder.
Cleveland too, it's still a huge legacy builder too.
I agree.
If he goes back to Cleveland with a completely different team and then puts another ring in Cleveland and
I
puts up
agree.
two in the like if LeBron gets five period anywhere, it doesn't matter what city it's
Sure,
in.
sure.
It's going to me, I think a fifth ring closes the go to be. Truly. I think at that point, universally, he jumps Jordan. Full stop. Like I don't think there's any even with Jordan having six, I think if LeBron has five with three to four different teams in multiple different eras, then I think at that
Yeah.
point the debate closes when you look at everything else LeBron's done in terms of the scoring title, in terms of like all the other finals
you?
run years. Like it truly does close to me with number five.
There was a video of him the other day golfing with someone, and he was talking about it. He's like, I think I've played against 23 father-son combos at this point
Yeah.
in my career. Now it's like,
It's
bro,
crazy, dude.
that's wild.
I mean, he's played against, I forget the percentage. I'll have to find the stat, but the percentage of players just in NBA history, period, he's played
30 some
against.
percent.
It's a
Yeah.
lot. Like he's had guys that he played against a guy, the most recent one I saw is somebody he played against. I think they were on the Kings, but his first year in the league was born in like 1961. Cooper Flagg was born in like 2006 or something
Yeah.
like that. And you're playing against, and LeBron's still playing against
And
these
he's
guys.
played
Like,
against all of them.
it is insane. We'll talk Miami here in a sec because I don't want to I don't want to totally downplay their chances
Yeah.
either, but I do want to move into Cleveland first because Cleveland, of course, has some big news of their own with the Donovan Mitchell extension, a $278 million massive bag for Donovan Mitchell, which gets one of their big question marks out of the way. Is hey, like what's the long-term future look like there? That's settled. You've got him locked in. Of course, your James Harden is still unsigned at this point. The teams have been working together, so it does appear Harden's going to go back to Cleveland. Of course, you've still got Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, and that's the appeal there to LeBron James. Is you go, hey, you know, if I'm Cleveland, I go, that Sixers team that you're talking about, I know as Jaylen Brown, but they haven't been able to get past the second round. We have a great coach in Kenny Atkinson. We just got over the hump and played in a conference finals where, yeah, we got beat by the Knicks, but, you know, it was a little in what wasn't a super competitive series after the first game, but it goes, hey, we add LeBron James into our lineup. This team is right back at it, making another run. It just comes down to the fact to me, I mean, if we're talking in basketball perspective, I think it's kind of equal in terms of like whether you go to Sixers or whether you go to Cleveland. Whether like I think LeBron can put them both over the top and at least be in that conversation to win the Eastern Conference potentially next year. I'm not saying it's a lock, but they'll be there. It's just
Question.
that home appeal, man. That home appeal is undefeated.
Honest,
You know, there is something fitting about LeBron spending, you know, wrapping up his career where he spent the most meaningful parts of his career. That does feel a bit fitting at the end of the day.
question for you. Because I know we're kind of focused on like the east side of things and all that. LeBron goes to the Cavs, LeBron goes to the 76ers. With the roster they have now, assuming it doesn't have to change and other things don't happen, of those two rosters, who do you feel like is better suited to potentially beat OKC or the Spurs next year? Because that's probably, I mean, it's a genuinely good chance it's one of those two teams coming out of the West.
Cleveland's got better personnel to guard Wemby currently. I mean, the Sixers do in theory if Embiid's healthy, but I think Embiid too has also taken a step back on the defensive end. I think that's where he's been sapped more than anything. Like he's still got the offensive game is still there. It's the defensive game that you're a little worried about. You know, I think they're both. I don't think either of them or a lock necessarily too. I mean, San Antonio was mentioned as a LeBron destination. Honestly, I look
I
there and
know.
I'm like, yo, they're gonna win next
Oh
year if he goes
Lord.
there. Like,
Could you
like, wait a
imagine?
minute. I'm like that you want the cheat code to the fifth ring. Like, that's it. Go play with that roster. It's already
Yeah.
set. Well, you slide LeBron into the Harrison Barnes role on that roster. Are you kidding me?
Talk about an upgrade. Yeah, no, I know. Which, by the way, I know we were talking about LeBron's age. I pulled up his draft class. Dude, it's crazy to look at the other guys that were drafted that year. I mean, he was obviously number one. Carmelo was there. Kyle Korver, D Wade, Zaza Pachulia, David West, Nick Collison, Boris Diaw, Kendrick Perkins. Like these guys, he's 23 years. Carmelo was the next closest at 19, but you got like
Yeah.
Perkins at 14 years, Barbosa at 14 years, Boris Diaw. Like some of these guys, like Kendrick Perkins, I bet more people know him about his time on ESPN more than he's known for his NBA now.
Yeah.
Like that's how long it's been. You know what I mean? Like it's almost been 10 years. So
I mean, besides, I mean, after LeBron, and I know you're going to talk about it a little bit of Ballin and Fallin, but like
yeah.
with Kyle Lowry now retiring, Chris Paul retired. I mean, who's left? I don't think. I mean, Al Horford might be. I'm pretty sure Al Horford is next. It's Al Horford and weirdly Garrett Temple.
Yeah, who's like
in terms of age?
NBA players. Let's see. Hold on. Players currently. Yeah, right now, current playing. I'm curious to see who it is. But yeah, Al's definitely up there. Taj Gibson still playing at 40. Is that true?
Is he?
I don't know.
Is he on a bench still somewhere?
Is just it says Memphis. This is just like it's like AI Google's response. So let me.
No, all right. LeBron's playing in 03, so Chris Paul's done now. Chris Paul played in 05. Lowry was from 06 because PJ Tucker's not active anymore.
Yeah.
07 still has 4 players active. KD, Al Horford, Mike Conley, and Jeff Green. And then 08 still got a bunch. 08 still got Russ, Kevin Love. Eric Gordon, I don't think got another contract. So we'll see there. But like Brooke Lopez, Nick Batum, DeAndre Jordan.
Google says Taj played the last year 10 games for Memphis.
Did he get bet minutes there last year? Good for Taj Gibson, man.
Taj Gibson
didn't get drafted until
he was.
Taj Gibson is 40. He did play for Memphis last year. Okay, I'm looking at this. He played 10 games for Memphis last year.
And then they're claiming Garrett Temple as well is 40 for the Raptors. Let me confirm that.
No, so he is. That's the age.
Yeah.
They both of them just got drafted later. That's the thing. Like Garrett Temple is 39 years old right now. Taj Gibson is 40.
Yeah.
Wow. But right, Taj Gibson's rookie year was 2009, 2010. Likewise with Garrett Temple. So just they came into the league a little later than some of these guys. But yeah, I mean 06 without Kyle Lowry. Or no, 06 is done now, actually. It's 07. There's a gap. LeBron is the only one playing from 03, and then the next one is 07, where there's those 4 players, KD, Al Horford, Mike Conley, and Jeff Green. Crazy.
That's
also,
crazy.
Fun fact from that 07 draft, the players that are still playing, KD, Al Horford, Mike Conley, Jeff Green, picks 2, 3, 4, 5, respectively.
That's funny.
Yeah,
dude, that's wild, but that's so wild, man. Like you're this league is about to have 1, 2, 3, 4. I think Al Horford's 30. I think you said 39, right? So you're about to have 5 guys in the age of 40 playing. Depending, I mean, Kyle Lowry's retiring, but like, you know, you'll have a decent amount of 40-year-olds in the league if Taj and Garrett Temple and Al Horford, obviously with his birthday, like that's crazy to think about.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Good for them.
All right, let's. I do want to hit Miami quick.
Yeah,
because that's the other team that's been mentioned. Obviously, 4 years, just picking up Giannis. LeBron's got a pretty good relationship with Spo. It seems like the only reason. And listen, I could be completely wrong, and I'll eat crow here if I'm wrong. It just doesn't feel like Miami has the ability to improve the depth. That's my concern with LeBron versus Cleveland and versus Philly. I think the rosters, even with Giannis being in Miami now, are much more complete in Cleveland and Philly. And so that's why I give them a little bit of a lead there. Mm-hmm. The underrated factor for Miami is LeBron's family. Savannah James has been on the record saying she loves Miami, had a great time there.
Yeah.
Miami certainly more LA-y in terms of like nightlife and culture and vibes and
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah,
That does
definitely,
matter.
definitely better than Cleveland and Philly. No hate on Philly. A little bit of
Yeah.
hate on Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I genuinely love Philadelphia as a city. All hometown bias aside, I think Philly is an incredible city.
But it's not
Um,
Miami, man.
it-
Like,
no,
like, yeah,
so it depends what you want though. Like
that's true.
Miami's weather is undoubtedly better. I would never argue that. Like Miami is right on the beach. Trust, I get that. Miami's cleaner. Miami's also a lot of like flash. It's a lot of like being
Yeah,
out late. It's a lot of like active, flashy lifestyle. Like Philly's not
yeah,
that. Like Miami,
no,
Philly's more like gritty. It's more like
literally.
neighbor. No, it's more yeah, like actually, but no, it's more like neighborhoody stuff like that. Like I don't know how to
Mhm.
explain it, but Miami doesn't feel like people from Miami live there anymore. And I think that's also part of the change too, is where like Miami's like quietly kind of become New York-esque in a
Yeah,
way,
I can get behind
but
that. Yeah,
without the like appeal and genuine like authenticity that New York has now. Where and I think Miami had that at one point. I just think Miami, a lot of that's getting pushed out, unfortunately. Like the authentic Miami, I
yeah.
feel like can't afford to live in Miami anymore, which is part of the problem.
We need to get their certified the mayor of Miami on it. We'll call up Pitbull and see if he can make some adjustments.
Okay, I need some answers from Mr. Worldwide, but
Yeah,
all
yeah.
right,
What's going on here, Mr. Pitt?
let's switch
Oh,
gears here a little bit and go into who's balling, who's falling, our NBA version of the stock market. We always like start with the good before the bad. And so I will start this week. Balling for me is Victor Wembanyama, fresh off the finals loss, but hey, don't worry. We've got a $252 million extension with the San Antonio Spurs, 5 years, their max. Uh, Needless to say that this was the least surprising extension of all time. Wemby's going to be a problem for a long time, but he's now a rich problem as well.
well, and I guess it came out that he took like it was kind of like a what was it like a wasn't it a pay cut or something? He took like there was less than he could have taken. I think obviously to try to help restack some of the team. Like you say that and then he's
Yeah.
getting 252 million. Like it's hard to say. That was like something came out about Trevor Lawrence taking less money to like be able to land things on his team, but he still was making like 43 million or something. So people definitely don't feel any kind of way about that. Um, yeah, so I mean, no doubter to give him that money. So I'm not even gonna like go down that road. So good for him to get that money, but if he does end up taking that pay cut or if he did take that pay cut, that also shows that he's in it. He wants a team around him. He wants to win this thing. So good for him.
Yeah. No, 100%. Which I think we know he's been pretty team friendly for a while. It seems like he's got that
Yeah.
mentality for that. So
He's very like yeah, he's out here teaching the fans how to do like the field goal side chants and
yeah.
stuff like that. So he's definitely in it to win it. I get it. My ballin', we already kind of referenced it. Kyle Lowry, who posts a video on his social confirming that he's signing a 1 day with the Raptors to retire as a Raptor. Great career. I mean, what much more is there to say about Kyle Lowry? We already know how awesome he is, and you know,
It's
a
a bit
good
of
cap on the career.
a bit of an interesting career too. I mean, when you
Yeah,
really think about how it, getting drafted in Memphis, his time in Houston, where it was like he was always a good player, but it felt like there was some meat on the bone, and then just really, in his prime, really, it was like 2013. Kind of around the time we started the podcast, honestly, that Kyle Lowry really started to break out in
hmm
Toronto. Obviously, highlighted with the championship there. Finishing their career in Miami, finishing with a little bit of time in Philly as well in that veteran role.
and a Nova guy worth mentioning. There was that tie as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, huge Eagles fan. Like it's always and like, look, I love Kyle Lowry. It's always unfortunate because he was a part of that team that beat the Sixers and were competing with the Sixers for a long time. So there's, him going to the Raptors is always like kind of gross in that
Yeah,
regard. But no,
yeah,
I mean, shout out to Kyle. Obviously, phenomenal NBA career. anytime you've been in the league for 20 plus years, I think a lot of credit is due there. Really, like I said, embrace that kind of that veteran role. Wouldn't be surprised at all if he ends up on a sideline eventually somewhere as a coach one of these days. I think more importantly too is that everybody who played with Kyle Lowry You talk about DeMar DeRozan, you talk about Jimmy Butler put up a really nice post for him. All the Sixers young guys have had a lot of positive things to say about him. So, yeah, like I said, shout to Kyle. Super successful career. Hope he enjoys his next phase of life.
And I'm sure he will. So what's your Fallin?
My Fallin for me this week, we got a little bit of spice in Vegas Summer League, which got underway. The Fallin is the fight between Bam Adebayo and Tyler Herro. Our pal Chase Bunker texted me and said more like Wham Adebayo. Am I right? Which good to know that Chase even now and shout out to Chase and his family. They just had their son the other day. Super happy for them, but good to know he still got the fastball even as a dad. Those dad jokes are still kicking in.
My request for him to rename his child Jaylen was denied. So,
yeah, well, that's okay. We call him. We've been calling his son Tre'Davious, because he said he's gonna name him after the white player on the Bills. Tre'Davious White, of course. So we've now been calling him little Tre'Davious Bunker. But no, anyway, going back to this fight, though, this is kind of crazy. I mean, Bam straight up approached him over because Tyler Herro had I guess there was some DMs leaked or something like that, but he's kind of talking trash on Bam in him a little bit, which it's tough for me because I'm like, well, that wasn't supposed to be leaked, and I get people venting online, but I'm also like, yeah, man, listen, Bam stood on business. He got right to the point, but apparently, there's still a lot that hasn't come out about this, but apparently, like, this was physical. Like, they got into a fight for real.
There was a picture of Herro. He had a black eye, like, got hit pretty good, I guess. So
let me see. I want to see if anything has come out this morning.
I mean, if you're Tyler Herro, like, I get
they said it was in front of an AAU team. That's so funny. They said it happened in the gym inside the Resorts World Casino. It was in front of Tyler Herro's AAU basketball team. Wow, that's crazy.
That's not a good look, obviously. So
no, I mean, Tyler Herro, he was on an interview and he said it was all love in Miami and that he has no beef there. I mean, obviously these two. Oh, okay. I forgot about that. So there were the DMs. It was not just the DMs, but I didn't realize that Tyler Herro, when he got, I didn't catch this. Tyler Herro, when he got traded, posted on Instagram a graphic of the lowest field goal percentages on mid-range shots in the NBA. And that stat included both Bam and Giannis. So like, that feels a little, but like he was talking trash about Bam's defense in the DMs, which is kind of wild. Either way, wow. Like, you want to talk about getting spicy? I want to see what comes out here more. But yeah, apparently Bam just Bam was not happy with Tyler Herro. Though I got to be honest and like, listen, this is gonna feel a little personal. So I was gonna kind of hold this, but like every time I hear Tyler Herro speak, I feel like I lose brain cells. I'm not gonna lie. Like Jaylen Brown made that comment about like, which is so rude. But Jaylen Brown was like, because they're like, oh, well, Jaylen Brown thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. And Jaylen Brown's like, well, in sports, that's not really like that high of a bar to clear. And I'm just like, Jesus, JB, like, oh my God. But every time I heard Tyler Herro's on some stream recently, and I just was like, buddy, like, this is kind of weapons grade idiocy right now. Like, maybe we don't say these things.
What? Right. I was trying to see if I could find. It's not going to pull it up. I was going to see when they play each other. I wanted to see the Heat schedule.
Oh, Heat Bucks?
Yeah, but I don't know. It's not really giving me what I'm looking for.
I don't know if full schedules are out yet.
That's what I'm thinking. Miami Heat schedule. Let me see what this says. No, this is just trying to give me last year's schedule. Yeah, I don't know if they're fully out yet. Well, we'll have to see when that first matchup is because that'll probably.
Oh, I'm intrigued. Listen, I am way more intrigued than I was before. Let me tell you.
So my Fallin is going to the second apron, though the 76ers, at least in this moment, might be a recipient on the positive side of this. But the second apron, a lot of people are starting to have comments about it. The NBPA came out and said they're not a fan of the second apron. We should have done better fighting against it. In the future, we're going to fight it. They're saying it's decimating teams, and that's a problem for our members and fans of the game. Kevin Love was talking about it on his podcast, saying, like, you're telling me OKC can't keep these three guys together because of the aprons. Like, that's messed up. Sam Presti went out there and actually, like, did a good job drafting, and now he's handcuffed because of these aprons. So, like, I get the point. I get what everyone's saying, but it's the rules we got to work by right now. So here we are, you know?
Yeah, I think the point that is going to come around, and I agree with here, because I think the second apron has done a good job of having kind of the parity that we've seen in the last few years. And I do think it's even the playing field a little bit. I do think, and I agree with the people that if you draft your guy and you sign them to a big extension, that it should count less against your contract.
Yeah.
I don't think, you know, with Boston, with JB and JT, with Oklahoma City, who obviously is drafted really well with, you know, with Chet, with Jalen Williams. I know in this instance, SGA wasn't a hometown guy, but, you know, I think of San Antonio down the line with drafting Stephon Castle, with drafting Wemby, with drafting Dylan Harper now. Yeah, I don't think you should be punished for drafting well, and just because you have to pay your guys because they're all good. Like, I do want to keep, you know, I like player movement. I think that's good for everybody. I want these guys to get paid. I also think that, you know, it is a little tough to see as a fan to see some of your favorite duos just broke up. It is pretty consistently across the board that teams are avoiding the second apron. I don't think this is just a, you know, I don't think this is an example of one billionaire being cheap, for example. I think this, I mean,
Yeah.
Brad Stevens was pretty explicit with it. Like, Brad Stevens pretty much came out and said in the aftermath, he's like, hey, that totally factored in. And if the second apron was a little less harsh, I think Jaylen Brown probably still is in his Celtics uniform. That's a little difficult to hear, I think, if you're a Boston fan. And I know obviously their situation pivoted as well when they didn't get Giannis, but still, like, it's definitely, it's in the back of the mind for everybody. I mean, that's the one downside if you're the Sixers in a little bit here is like, hey, the true downfall to the trade, if there's going to be one, is like you are going to owe Jaylen Brown a ton of money when you're already paying Embiid a ton of money. You're going to be paying Maxey a ton of money. VJ's going to at some point get something beyond a rookie contract. Like, it's real. Teams definitely have to work around it. I do think it should be a little, probably lightened a little bit. For guys that have been drafted. I don't think you should do it across the board because I don't want there to be teams that can just go out and buy all these stars. But I absolutely think that there should be a little bit of a discount for hometown guys that you've worked and you've drafted and you've developed. You shouldn't be punished for drafting well.
You should, honestly, teams that draft poorly are the ones who should be punished, and they are punished by not having good players. Like, you know, so the teams that are able to build a team through the draft and have, you know, an insane roster like what the Celtics did, like what OKC did, like they should get perks in some way. I get it. You want the talent to be spread out and the competition to be spread out, but yeah, they should be rewarded for finding the diamonds in the rough or developing their talent.
Yeah, 100%. But all right, speaking of developing talent, let's run through some Immaculate Grid. Yeah, I don't know if that really has to do with developing talent, but
I think so. We'll have to develop the Immaculate Grid. You know.
Yeah, let's see. We got about 10 minutes here, so we're gonna speed run this a little bit. For the podcast listeners, you can always watch the Immaculate Grid if you're interested on YouTube. Just search Drive and Dish NBA podcast. For the non-Apple users, for the non-video watchers, for our podcast listeners, our columns from left to right this week: the Celtics, All-Star, and 5 assists per game per season, and our top to bottom, the Nuggets, the Pistons, and born outside the U.S. 50 states and D.C. for our rows, I should say.
Okay, I have one. I might have two that are a little out there.
Hit me.
Okay, for Celtics, Nuggets. Evan Fournier.
Yeah. Okay. When did Evan play for the Nuggets?
He's got like 10 games with them. I forget when he did it, but it was like an absolute. I'm almost positive he did like a very short stint with them. I could be wrong.
I believe you.
Call me out if you think I'm wrong. But to that, while we look at that one or think about that one, there was I think it's. I don't know if he was outside of the U.S., but I think Hernan Gomez, is that how you say it?
Willie Hernan Gomez.
Hernan Gomez, that's it. I think he played for Boston.
Yeah, I'm almost positive he played for Boston.
And if he played for Boston, I'm fairly certain he was born outside of the U.S. So that would be a low key low one for that.
Oh,
Obviously, you got
wait,
like Porzingis and stuff.
was it Willie or was it Wancho? Because they're two different.
Oh, there's two. Oh my god, I didn't know
No,
there was
yeah,
two.
it's two. I think I feel like Wancho is the one that played for
Oh,
Boston. One of them definitely did, and I
I
want to say it's Wancho.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't know there was two, so
Oh
that
no,
could be
yeah,
concerning.
there's two. Um, and he was
Oh
born.
no.
No, I
Okay.
want, and I mean Wancho. I'm almost positive was born. He was born in Spain, I think.
Well, yeah, that's what I thought too. So, I mean, obviously, Porzingis is the safe bet there too. We could always do that, but
No, we got to do Hernigo. Hernigo is a good one. I'm down for Fournier too. I trust your like. It's not Willie. It's Wancho.
this one, okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, there you go, point
Okay.
three. Look at that.
Nice.
That's crazy. Um, all right, all right. Do you trust me on Fournier? Because now you're making me nervous. I feel like it was like
Which
10
Hernan Gomez
games.
was in Hustle? Was it Willie or was it Wancho? No, it was Wancho. Okay, yeah,
Was it
he's
one?
Willie. Okay, it is. No, it's definitely okay. He's in Hustle. That's what I thought. He's what's his name? I with the Adam Sandler
Uh,
movie. He played against Ant. Ant's the villain in that movie.
who is that? Who is the villain? Oh, Ant. Yeah, yeah,
Anthony
yeah, yeah,
Edwards.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I I am
Bo Cruz. That's it. Bo Cruz.
I think Evan Fournier works here.
I know he worked for Boston, so if and weirdly trust your Evan Fournier knowledge here. So if he played for Denver, I trust it.
Oh, I really hope I don't screw us on this. Yeah, okay, good.
All
Yes,
right,
he did.
nice.
He
There we
did.
go. Yeah, 1%. Very
1%'s
nice.
crazy.
Let me see. I'm curious. I actually don't.
Boston Pistons. Oh, Griffin obviously
Yeah,
works.
Blake is the obvious one.
Blake's an easy one. Was Blake a trade from Boston or from Pistons to Boston?
I don't remember if he's a trader, if he signed as a free agent. Because that
Yeah.
was kind of Blake bounced around a little bit there because he was in Brooklyn for a little bit too.
Did Drummond ever end up on the Celtics?
No, I
Okay.
don't think. No, I'm
Okay.
almost.
And like
Evan
a
Fournier's
Grant
first two
or
seasons were with Denver, by the way. 2012, 2013, and
really?
yeah, 2013,
Huh.
2014. His first 2 years were Denver, and then he went to Orlando, obviously, for quite a long time.
Did not did Hayward ever? Where did Hayward go after Celtics?
Oh God, Charlotte,
Oh, okay.
OKC.
Yeah.
That might be it,
And
honestly.
yeah, okay. I'm trying to think
Um,
of those like weird one-off guys like that might have done a stint with Pistons.
Detroit's got way more than Boston and Detroit should have way more. Like, who are we missing? There's got to be some obvious ones here that we're missing. Like, I'm trying to think of their
Hmm.
big. I'm trying to think of their big guys. Um,
Yeah.
Chauncey, I think Chauncey Billups played for Boston.
Oh, Chauncey be a good one.
He'll be high, obviously. Chauncey's
Well,
gonna be real high.
Blake Griffin's
Blake
gonna
is gonna
be
be
high
high
too.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm trying to think of their like random guys recently.
some point guards or anything like that. Does Isaiah Thomas ever end up with Detroit? Oh,
Not with Detroit.
he would have worked for Denver. Um,
Oh wow, that's crazy. He would have. Yeah.
yeah. Um, shoot. What was it? Was it was it Kelly Olynyk played for the Celtics? Did he ever end up on the Pistons?
You know.
I think he might. I don't know. Omar Asik. Like those are always my guys I go back to. Somehow they end up being on all these teams.
Yeah. Oh
Olynyk.
man. It's funny because like with Nuggets, I feel like I know a couple more.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's another. We mentioned Billups, like Rashid did too.
Oh,
She'd played for the Celtics at the end of his career,
she'd be a good one.
but I'm trying to think of like somebody.
Marcus Smart. No.
No,
Hmm. Mm-mm-mm.
it really does feel like there should be a
There should be more. I mean, the other ones
no.
are
Oh, dude, know who works? We use them. We know who uses them a decent amount, but I'm almost positive Marcus Morris works.
Oh, Morris works. Yeah, that's an easy one. You want to do that, Morris?
He'd be lower than Blake and Chauncey and Rashid. I know that. Marcus, yeah,
Marcus, right?
not Keith. Marcus, yeah.
There you go. Yep, 1%. Wow, that's way low.
Damn,
There's
really?
got to be someone we're missing.
He was on some good Celtics teams, so that's why I'm a little
Yeah,
surprised. I mean, Blake and Chauncey are going to be the big ones. I'm sure there's others, but
yeah.
um,
Well, was Drummond an all-star?
Drummond was an all-star with Detroit. Confirmed.
Yeah, I thought so. So we could do that. I think Blake was also an all-star while he was there that year.
Oh, speaking of Drummond, no, who works for Detroit and Boston, who played with Drummond, Greg Monroe. Greg Monroe played for
Monroe's
Boston
a good
over
one.
there.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think Iverson was an all-star
I
when
know
he was
an all-star. It's
Yeah.
not even think. I know he was an all-star.
That'd be probably a lower one.
I'm good with AI in Denver.
I bet that's an
I mean, the
I bet
recent
that's a
ones,
one.
recent ones obviously are Jokic and Murray,
5%'s
Melo.
Yeah, 5%'s crazy. All right. 5 assists per game.
I mean, dude, we just mentioned him. Billups, I'm pretty sure works there
for Denver.
Yeah, Billups was on that. He's on that team that went to the Western Conference Finals.
When Isaiah Thomas left the Celtics, he went to Denver for a little bit.
No, he went to Cleveland. Well, okay, for a little bit, yeah.
But do we think he had 5 assists during his time?
I don't. I would have been so late in his career,
right.
Man.
Right. Okay. Oh, who was it Will Barton? There was somebody that had to pick up a season where they had to do point guard duties.
Man, Will Barton, he played there so long, but like I do not have nearly enough faith in that because he played 2. That's why I'm worried.
But that's what I'm saying. There was a season where was it Murray or the point guard before Murray? Somebody got injured and like they had to step into it.
All right. Well, for the sake of letting you know what time it is, it's 11:53. So if you've got somebody, you better fire.
Okay,
you better fire.
Let's just go. Let's just knock them out.
All right, Chauncey Billups.
Billups.
Yeah.
There he is. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Chauncey. Okay.
4%. All right, hit me. Detroit All-Star. First one you got.
Blake.
Okay.
Blake. 2% is crazy low.
Okay, that is kind of crazy.
5 assists per game
for Detroit.
I mean, I'm trying to get a little fancy with it. Who was?
All right, we don't need to get fancy. We got to fire. We're at firing point. Reggie Jackson.
That's fair. Reggie down here. There he is. 2%'s crazy. All-star. Born outside the U.S., I usually
got a lot of options.
Yeah, I usually just go with one of the Gasol brothers. Usually, so I don't. I mean, unless you want to
love the Gasol brothers. No, pick one. Yeah, I don't care. Pick one.
Mark.
Oh, wait. Hold on. Wait, make sure he was born outside the U.S. though. I feel like Mark might be born in the U.S.
They both were from Spain.
I could be making that up. I gotta be honest.
Should I just go Paul then?
How is 100% born? No, just to Mark. I think I'm overthinking that.
I thought they were both. Yeah, okay. I was like, I thought they were both.
I know he played for Spain, but I like had a weird hesitation there where I was like, wait, was one of them born in America? 5 assists per game and born outside the US. I mean, Rubio's gonna be number 1, so we can't do Rubio. No, we can't do Rubio. He's gonna be number 1.
Spurs.
Oh, were you gonna do Ginobili?
Well, Ginobili would probably work, but I was thinking of
you were thinking
Tony Parker. Tony Parker, yeah.
Yeah, Tony Parker works. Yeah, born in France. Yeah. I would say your boy Dragic, if not, but that works.
Oh, Dragic.
No,
Tony
TP
Parker,
works.
18% is kind of surprising.
All right, let's roll it down quick. Top answers. Let's go to. Let me recap these real quick. Top answers on the Immaculate Grid. For Celtics and Nuggets, Chauncey Billups. For Nuggets All-Star, Carmelo Anthony. For Nuggets, 5 assists per game per season, Nikola Jokic. Celtics and Pistons, Blake Griffin. Pistons All-Star, Cade Cunningham. Pistons, 5 assists per game per season, Isaiah Thomas. Celtics born outside the U.S., Kristaps Porzingis. Born outside the U.S., All-Star, Hakeem Olajuwon. And 5 assists per game per season, Steve Nash. If we want to recap our grid one last time, for Celtics and Nuggets, we got Evan Fournier. For Nuggets All-Star, Allen Iverson. For Nuggets, 5 assists per game per season, Chauncey Billups. For Pistons and Celtics, Marcus Morris. Pistons All-Star, Blake Griffin. Pistons, 5 assists per game per season, Reggie Jackson. Celtics born outside the U.S., Juancho Hernangomez. All-Star born outside the U.S., Marcus Saul, and born outside the U.S., 5 assists per game, Tony Parker. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of the Drive and Dish NBA podcast. Find the show wherever you can find a podcast.
And we're on YouTube. Just search Drive and Dish NBA. You can watch a video version of the podcast there and subscribe.